All right, once again, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this wonderful October evening, 19th. And we want to start off by saying a good mention to our sponsors that have made this evening possible. We're going to start off with Miss Nancy Donahue. She's been a great supporter of Lowell Association for the Blind for so many years, and we just want to give a first thanks to her. We also want to give a huge thanks to our Make a Difference sponsors for this year, Bob and Carolyn Gregoire. Carolyn is also a board member and she was the past president. Enterprise Bank, Deborah Finch. For our From Darkness into Light sponsors, the Jeanne d'Arc Credit Union and David M. Murphy Plumbing, Heating and Gas Fitting, Inc. And for our 2020 Vision sponsors for this year, the Geist family, the Capadia family, Lowell 5, and Lowell Sun Charities. And once again, we just want to recognize all of our corporate sponsors that go beyond them. Massachusetts Eye Associates, Moonstones, by which several of you, more than several of you, have made the pass to Moonstones this evening and picked up your meals. And we also want to give a huge thanks to Safi Design this year for his incredible branding to allow us to spread awareness for this event. And of course, the others that we just mentioned in the previous slide. So definitely a great special thanks to all of those who have been involved in making this event happen. This evening, we are going to be making some posts on our social media pages. We have a handle at Lowell Blind, which you can find us on Twitter as well as on Instagram. And we're also using a hashtag for this year, LabDID. So feel free to also follow us and make your posts on Facebook as well as on LinkedIn. And we encourage everyone, as you're dining this evening, have your blindfolds on and share with us your photos from home. You're welcome to message our Facebook page, as well as you're able to email them to our team. So once again, a grand welcome to Dining in the Dark at Home. For the materials for this evening, a lot of you should have already received blindfolds. Some of you may even have them from last year, but we did send them out to your mail. And if you had a pickup option, then you should have received them there. We also had aprons for our sponsors, and some of you may have even purchased those. You're obviously going to need utensils to be able to have your meal this evening. If you weren't part of the pickup option for this year, you're also welcome to use a meal that you may have prepared at home or have a snack, anything that keeps you comfortable, and join us as you may also have a beverage for this evening.
All right, hi everyone. I'm going to switch over. My name is Allie Bull. I am the vice president of the board. So we're going to talk about the meal that was prepared by Moonstones. So many of you picked up a meal tonight and might be enjoying it as you listen to this presentation. So the first course of the meal is a local sample of eggplant caponata, heirloom carrot hummus, beet salad, topped with Horn Family Farm greens, honey mustard vinaigrette, and toasted naan. For your second course, we have slow braised beef short rib with locally farmed root vegetables and truffle potato gratin. There was also a vegetarian option, so if you did choose to get the vegetarian meal, it includes crispy, medium spicy Szechuan eggplant and tofu with red peppers and jasmine rice. The third and final course is Lowell Farm apple crisp topped with thick whipped vanilla crema. So now is time you can put your blindfolds on. This, whether you have your meal at home that you prepared yourself or you picked up Moonstones, now is the time to put those blindfolds on.
And just to chime in here for the hashtag to add online, it's hashtag LAB for lab, DID for dining in the dark. So thank you, Allie. As Allie said, she is the vice president for Lowell Association for the Blind, and my name is Sal Kapadia. I should have said that at the beginning. So I am the board president, and I've been alongside Allie for several years. We actually started together back in 2012, and we started off as staff members in the youth program and have ventured off into our adult lives and still have the opportunity to serve on the board together. And also this evening, what you'll notice is a lot of our fellow board members are also in the program. So we have a total of 19 wonderful individuals who have been involved throughout the greater Lowell community and beyond. And these folks have been very, very integral to the success of Dining in the Dark over the last several years. This is our 7th annual event, and we're very fortunate with the involvement that they have all had and all the contributions that they give to us as a team. And we also want to make special mention of two emeriti. We have Dr. Deborah Finch of University of Massachusetts Lowell. She is here this evening along with her class, as well as Miss Melanie St. Croix, our past president and also emeritus. Now, we also take very huge pride in our staff. Each and every one of these members are dedicated and honorable in their work. Elizabeth Cannon, she's been well known and highly regarded by the greater Lowell community. We're very fortunate to have her as our executive director as she leads a team of 6. And she also serves as president of the Nonprofit Alliance of Greater Lowell. This evening, you will get a chance to hear from Elizabeth alongside Joshua and Alex. And we'll also hear some tunes from Dorothy. And from all of us at Lab involved in our mission, we share our heartfelt thanks to our supporters locally and everyone around the nation. For the evening, our agenda is quite simple. Every year, you guys have the opportunity to sit in and socialize with each of us. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we have a very different program outlined for everyone. So as you're at home, we're going to go through a series of different items that are very much related to our current events. We're going to kick off with Miss Allie Bull. We'll pass it back to her, and she's going to take an opportunity to educate all of us on how the pandemic has affected those with visual impairment. Then we'll have a lively music session by Dot Donovan, our Braille instructor and participant in our adult program. Then we will have a services update from Elizabeth herself. Then we will have Joshua Stahowski speaking with a client member, as well as our board member, Ed Perry. Then we will also have a informative video about the radio reading service, which we have offered for a long time. We'll also get a chance to hear from Alex Primrose, our youth program coordinator. She's done a wonderful job for this year amidst the pandemic and all the different activities that she has planned. So she's very excited to share all of that with you all. Then we'll get another chance to hear some tunes from Dorothy. Then we'll have some poetry recitation written by the students, the clients from our kids program. Then we also have a raffle. So we're about to mention that here in a second. And then we're also going to have a little Q&A panel at the end with the team. So once again, welcome to Dining in the Dark. Past events have been about the dining experience and how we balance our sensory talents by closing our eyes to focus with the touch, the smell, and sounds of the items surrounding a meal. Each evening has been about socializing with our friends and family, absorbing a glimpse of the challenges, and attempting to understand the perspective of dining without sight. We've been fortunate to hold the event at Mount Pleasant Country Club, and more recently in several years with Moonstones in their venue. And for the past several times, we have cherished the close relationship we've had with the Stones Hospitality Group, and they've helped us, along with all of you fine participants, to create a streak of successful dining fundraisers. And we're proud to have partnered with them once again. And to this year, we thank you, and we welcome each and every one of you. The team has been fortunate to maintain good health, the ability to serve, and to create a difference. In the past 6 years, we have held 6 successful Dining in the Dark events in person across the Merrimack Valley, and we looked inward as well as outward for ideas to capture an opportunity to connect with our supportive audience. Despite our inability to host the annual house party that's typically held in the spring, we received tremendous outreach from folks inquiring to participate and offer their help in other ways. It is certainly rewarding to see such a grand involvement from the community and enable us to produce a program that can be accessed safely from the comfort of your own home. We believe that Lab, along with the nonprofits and good causes in the area and beyond, will remain resilient and adapt new methods to join together with our funding partners, sponsors, staff, and board as they continue to push us forward. Now, it has been particularly rewarding for me as a newly appointed president in this challenging time to take on a leadership role. And a friend once told me, we don't grow when things are easy, we grow when we face challenges. So when we crafted a format with our planning committee on a first attempt at a virtual program, well, I hope you all enjoy our first attempt. And for this year, we have all raffle donations being pointed towards a wonderful item this evening. So if you have your blindfolds on, I'm going to describe to you what is a photo of a bright orange Bluetooth speaker. It's made by Bose and it's called the Bose SoundLink Micro. It's a small 4-inch square that's only about 1.5 inches thick. Now this speaker, it has a built-in microphone for being able to take calls. It's waterproof, so you can take it outside in the outdoors. It's easily portable. It has a resistance strap, so you can put on a backpack or on a bike. And it offers some pretty good playtime of about 6 hours. So for this evening, what we have is a PayPal code. So if you aren't using your blindfolds, you might see that there's a code on your screen. And what you can do is point your camera at it, and it'll take you to a page on PayPal. And we request that you make an entry at $25. And we will show this again towards the end. So if you choose not to take your blindfold off and are trying to enjoy that meal without sight, then certainly we can bring this back up in the end. And for now, I want to give a handoff over to Miss Allie Bull. This next segment is the pandemic awareness. Allie, take it away.
Thanks, Sal. The next few slides are designed to discuss some of the implications that the pandemic has had on specifically the blind and visually impaired community. As we know, the pandemic has affected us all in a variety of ways, and we continue to adjust to this new lifestyle to keep ourselves and others safe. So my name is Allie Bull. I am a teacher for the visually impaired and orientation and mobility specialist in Lawrence Public Schools, and currently the vice president on the board for Lowell Association for the Blind. Much of my work in the school focuses on teaching kids independence in all areas of life and promoting awareness everywhere we go. As an O&M specialist, my job is to train students how to independently and safely navigate their environments. So this type of training ranges from body awareness as a preschooler to understanding their home environments or residential travel, so how to get to your bus stop independently, and even public transportation as they become older, usually the high schoolers. So access to public transportation for many individuals means independence. Public transportation can be used for many things like social events with friends, commuting to work, or even a ride to the grocery store to pick up your meal. So I'd like to talk first about the public transportation aspect that the pandemic has really affected. So as I said earlier, one of the greatest impacts that the pandemic has had on everyone is the ability to travel. So that's really specifically been on public transportation for individuals that are blind or visually impaired. So this might be their access to local buses, subways, or even sometimes like rideshare services. Technically, it's not public transportation, but it's part of the transportation process. So if you think about it, trying to even get on it at first, the pandemic really wasn't allowing any public transportation to happen at all. And we've slowly opened up. So now we have to maintain 6 feet social distancing wherever we go. So that might present a challenge for an individual who's blind or visually impaired, trying to find a seat that is 6 feet away from another individual, or waiting in line to get on the bus and maintaining 6 feet of a distance, or waiting for a subway and waiting 6 feet. So it's just tricky to understand where people are if you're not able to visually perceive them. And especially if you're in a subway, it might be like dark. Access to human guide or other assistance is also another thing that has been affected by the pandemic. So human guide is a technique that we use. So a sighted person, or doesn't have to be sighted, a guide will offer an arm up to a person who is blind or visually impaired that may need help navigating the area. So the person will hold, the person who's visually impaired will hold the elbow of the guide, and they will walk 1 step behind the guide. However, with the 6-foot rule, it's been a little bit trickier to be able to use that type of technique while out in public, or even if somebody was going onto a Roadrunner service that we use in Lowell, it's a little bit trickier because you really should be maintaining that 6 feet of distance. A lot of you have noticed going into a grocery store or any kind of retail store, really, now we have these new visual signs and arrows up on floors or above aisles, and they're everywhere. And you are expected to know how to flow in traffic in these stores. So that's another challenge, would be to detect which way you're supposed to be walking in a one-way aisle. Because usually you might be used to going into a market basket, you know where all of your stuff is, you're able to go right to the item, pick it up, put it in your basket and continue. However, now we add one-way stickers on the floor, or there's a dot that you need to stand on to be in line for the next cashier, or tape on the ground that you need to stand on. So it's a little bit trickier trying to kind of flow with the traffic that is out in the community. And then tactile feedback for landmarks and other clues used for independence. So I talked with a colleague recently about how it would be tricky to have students come back to school without using these tactile clues, because I work with my students a lot on using all of their senses to independently navigate their school environment. One student that I work with in particular uses the cue when the tile stops in the wall and turns into drywall. He knows that it's time to turn down the corridor. And so that's something that he wouldn't have access to, because we're not really supposed to be touching walls or feeling really anything at all. You know, he might go to a room and want to know what room it is. And typically I would say, well, feel the braille on the door sign. However, that's not really an option right now. So it just becomes a little bit trickier to independently navigate. And, you know, orientation mobility specialists need to keep that in mind. Individuals new to vision loss have limited access to training at this time. So that's something we also have to consider. Not everyone was blind before the pandemic. So now if you have gone blind or you have a new visual impairment during this time, it might be trickier to access the training that Mass Commission for the Blind would offer, or even myself in the school district would offer. Thank you. So the next piece of this I want to discuss is the masks and gloves and the impact that that has on the blind and visually impaired community. So independent travel and orientation relies on access to available senses, like I discussed previously. That's not only tactile, but that's also auditory and olfactory, which is your sense of smell. So gloves can remove the individual's sense of touch. So So like I discussed earlier, it might be a little bit harder to read the Braille. Sometimes you rely on very sensitive tactile information coming from your cane to know when the surface changes, or if you hit a certain crack or bump that you are relying on, it might be a little bit more tricky. And it's also going to throw your orientation off just because it's a new sensory experience. You're really going to have to get used to using those gloves as you travel. Masks can also be disorienting and inhibit that sense of smell. So I had a lot of students when I was working in school, and they may have had some trouble figuring out which floor they were on. And I would say, okay, well, why don't you smell? Do you smell anything around you? And usually they could sense the cafeteria because it would either be the chicken cooking, they could smell it and understand, oh, right, okay, so I'm in the basement because we're at the kitchen. So that's going to be inhibited too. And I'm sure you as sighted have been in the stores and realized that I might not be able to smell the bakery when I'm near the bakery anymore, or maybe thank goodness I can't smell the seafood anymore. But these are just some examples of how it might throw off these clues that you rely on to get around independently. So there are some solutions to these challenges that are brought up during this tricky time for everybody. And my biggest recommendation would be to offer assistance, but ask the person what they would like. So you can approach somebody if you think that maybe somebody's having difficulty navigating or finding their way. You can approach them and say, hi, I'd like to help you. Is there anything I can do? Just introduce yourself and let them decide, and they can let you know exactly how you can help them. Don't ever put your hands on somebody who's blind or visually impaired and try to push them and show them the way. I know it might seem helpful, but it is counterproductive. We want to maintain independence. So I'm also going to discuss school in 2020, which has been very challenging, but also very rewarding at the same time for both students and staff. So there have been some benefits of remote learning for sure. One of the biggest benefits of remote learning has been the use of assistive technology skills. Technology is ever changing in our world, and especially right now, we have access to immediate technology, especially now that school is online. So I have a lot of students who have absolutely excelled in their keyboarding skills. They're able to type their name out on a keyboard without looking at it now. They're able to use the hotkeys to interact with their Zoom classrooms. It's really incredible, and they've had a lot of time to really sit down and work on these assistive technology skills. Another benefit is exploring new ways of learning. We're finding that some of these students are doing so much better at home. Maybe they don't have the background noise or other students distracting them, and they need that one-on-one with their parent or just one-on-one with a teacher online. It's been very beneficial, and it's been fun to explore these new ways. Also, parent support has been absolutely incredible during this time. It's really great for the parents to be able to interact directly with the students' education, see what types of skills they're working on. And then a lot of the parents that I work with have shown fun ways to kind of generalize these skills throughout the day and have their child continue practicing these essential skills, some including the assistive technology skills. Some of the challenges of school in 2020 for everybody has been the accessibility of the environment. This includes access to technology at home. Some kids may not have computers or laptops or iPads, or if they do, their sibling might need to use it while they need to be on at the same time. So that access to technology is crucial. Internet connection. I have had a few students that haven't had internet connection. That's been a challenge because we really want to make sure that they're online and participating with peers. And lastly, the accessibility of programs like Zoom. Zoom is an extremely visual platform by nature. Even though you can hear my voice coming through the speaker, hopefully, with your blindfolds on, there's still a visual component to it. So there might be a green square around my name that highlights my face saying that I'm the one talking. Or there might be a poll that pops up on the screen that you need to answer. Or there might be somebody asking a question in the chat that you may have that same question. However, you can't see it to read that question. So these are some of the challenges that we've been working as a team with other educators and with our students to kind of make sure that they have the same access to Zoom as everyone else. Braille literacy is specifically in school during this time has been tricky. Braille takes time to make. whether you have an embosser, which is like a Braille printer, or your hand making your hand brailing at home, it still takes time. And then you still have to send it to the student's house. So we want to make sure that students don't lose their Braille literacy skills. However, it's been challenging as far as time goes during the pandemic and remote learning, but we are doing it. And then O&M has also been an obvious challenge. Or O&M stands for orientation mobility. I'm sorry, I should have clarified. So orientation mobility is a little bit more challenging in school in 2020, just because I'm not physically allowed to go walk with a student in their neighborhood. I'm not allowed to go to the store and work with them. I'm not allowed to take students that are seniors in high school to a college campus to explore this college campus for next year. I'm really limited in what I can do to provide services. So we've actually had to do a lot of online Google Maps or technology training. This is a unique time for students and educators alike, and everyone is learning together. So lastly, I just want to discuss this time to dine, and this has been an incredible opportunity for Sal and myself and the planning committee to really put together and present. So the previous meals at Dining in the Dark obviously have been in person. They've been focused, as Sal discussed earlier, they've been focused on sensory experience and socialization. You might be able to raise your hand and have a waiter or waitress come fill up your drink, or you may need to use the restroom and someone will guide you using human guide to the restroom area. So that was different eating out, and you may not know what's in front of you, but this time is a little bit different. So now you're at home. What are some of the new things that are happening at home? What are some of the new things, if you've been to our event in the past, what are some new things you're experiencing tonight? Maybe you forgot to put salt and pepper on the table before you put your blindfold on and then realized after. And then you have to think about navigating your own kitchen because there's no one to guide you around your kitchen. So you start to pick up on things that were subtle and visual. However, you're able to do them under blindfold now. So some of the things that may be a little bit different about being at home now is like setting the table if you took that challenge on with a blindfold, heating up food, refilling your drink, or even bringing your plates to the sink when you finished eating. All right, Sal, I think I'm handing it back. Oh, we're going to Dorothy Donovan.
All right, thank you, Allie. Yes, we are. So I'm gonna just have to stop sharing and start sharing again so I could share the actual wonderful audio of Miss Dot. All right, and just as a precursor, so Dorothy, or we endearingly call her Dot, is our Braille and technology instructor at Lab. She has been working with Lab for over 20 years. She actually attended the Perkins School for the Blind, so that was a while ago. And also she obtained her Bachelor of Arts degree in English from Boston College. And one of her many talents is playing the guitar, so we were fortunate to be able to record a couple of her wonderful works. And we'll play the first one for you to now.
The name of this song is Midnight Blue. Whatever it is, it'll keep till the morning. Haven't we both got better things to do? Midnight blue. Even the simple things become rough. Haven't we had enough? And I think we can make it one more time if we try. One more time for all the old times. need you. Midnight blue. Wouldn't you give your hand to a friend? Maybe it's not the end, and I think we can make it one more time if we try. One more time for all of the old time. I think we can make it. I think we can make it. Oh, when you give your heart to a friend, think of me as your friend, and I think we can make it one more time if we try. One more time for all of the old time.
All right. And once again, that was a beautiful piece played and sung by Dot Donovan. All right. And next up, we have a few words coming over from our executive director, Miss Elizabeth Cannon.
Thank you, Sal. That was great, Dorothy. I know Dorothy's listening in, so thank you for that. It was wonderful. A little bit about Lab and the services. Lab was founded in 1923 by the Middlesex Women's Club and was originally to provide food and medical transportation to medical services. To this day, we remain the only nonprofit north of Boston that provides services for the blind and visually impaired. Over the years, we've evolved to offer services for youth, teens, and adults. We offer Braille and assistive technology and a radio reading service, all of which you'll hear more about in a few minutes. When the pandemic hit, we closed the office to volunteers and clients and switched to a rotating staff schedule to keep our radio reading service going so people would have access to local news and information and respond to the needs of our clients. Our office has reopened and some of our volunteers have come back. We have continued to offer services remotely and by appointment. In addition to client services, Lab offers community engagement with presentations to schools and community groups. We also advocate for folks on issues that affect the blind and visually impaired. And we explain many times to families and individuals the process and what to expect if they know or they themselves have become legally blind. We talk about services and other services that they might be eligible for. And we often demonstrate equipment that may help them to live independently. We help them fill out many different types of applications, order products, read mail, or even help people write out checks. Lab has a dedicated staff and many, many volunteers who give hundreds of hours of service, reading on the radio and helping with our adult youth programs, as well as our wonderful board of directors. We couldn't do it without everyone, and we are so thankful for you and your interest in Dining in the Dark tonight. And then annually each year, usually at our spring house party event, we provide the George Zermis Memorial Scholarships. And although this year we were not able to hold the house party, we provided 8 scholarships totaling $5,000 to students studying to work with the blind to become teachers of the visually impaired or orientation and mobility professionals through UMass Boston, which is a graduate program. This year, we also provided a scholarship to a visually impaired client of Lab who is pursuing his bachelor's degree. I would like to wish best wishes to all of our scholarship winners. And now I'd like to introduce Josh Tahowski, the Lab Adult Services Coordinator, to talk a little bit about the Lab Adult Program. Josh?
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Joshua. I'm the Adult Services Coordinator at Lab, and I run our adult program, which focuses on clients of the age 21 and over. Prior to COVID, our adult program was held twice weekly and consisted of many different types of activities, social gatherings, skill-building exercises, and guest speakers. Unfortunately, COVID-19 has disrupted our ability to meet and hold events. However, we still try to adapt with bi-weekly conference calls and take-home activities and projects in the meantime. Today, I'm speaking with a member of the adult program, Mr. Ed Perry. Thank you for being with us.
Nice being here, Josh. Anything I can do to help?
Wonderful. So, let me just ask you a few questions about the adult program for you to share with our audience tonight.
That would be great.
So my first question, Ed, what has been your overall experience being in the adult program?
Well, I have to say that it's probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me, especially with the low vision now, and it's a great program to belong to, and we certainly we're more like a family almost rather than just clients, you know, so I've enjoyed it immensely.
That's wonderful. Glad to hear. So what would you say are types of events or activities that you have found enjoyable or special to you in the adult program that we have done?
When you asked me to do this, one of the first things I thought about was the birding by ear experience that we do out at Java Flats with the Audubon Society. And to me, that's always one of the highlights of the year when we get to do that. And of course, there's always lots of food and restaurants involved with our program, so that's good. And we all enjoy that, and one of the other things is going to some of the different museums. We actually made a trip to the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston and saw an exhibit out there, and to pick one special thing is hard because I think they're all special no matter what we do.
Well, that's wonderful. And we do certainly do a lot of fun activities. So those were some of my favorites as well, I got to say. So continuing on here, does the adult program and Lab in general, would you say it provides you with any particular benefit or support that you maybe don't get elsewhere?
Well, I think one of the major things is just the whole social aspect of it all, and just the general support in all. I mean, you know, some of the clients come in just to have their batteries changed in their magnifying glasses, and you know, things like that. It's the simplest things, but you know, you think it's simple, and until you can't see what you're doing half the time.
Certainly. And my last question for you, Ed. Would you be able to share maybe a particular moment or really anything about the adult program that has been very particularly memorable for you?
Actually, one of the most memorable things was when we actually had one of the state representatives help us get the new van that we got. And one of the things that I have to say is that Elizabeth is always looking for ways to improve our experiences at the lab, and the whole staff is. I can't say enough about the staff and the programs, and it's kind of interesting how I even got involved with the lab. Was I was at my insurance company because I was no longer able to drive, so we were adjusting our insurance and all of that stuff. And the woman happened to tell me that her father got help through the Lowell Association for the Blind, so she kind of recommended it to me.
Oh, wow.
And I couldn't be happier with the results. So it's just been a great experience, and the first time I met Elizabeth and how helpful she was, and I don't know, I miss not being able to see everybody, and I miss the clients, and like I said, it's almost like an extended family, because I enjoy the experience so much. It's a blessing to me. So I can't reap enough praises on everybody that's involved, and even the board members just get so involved in our fundraising and all of the things that we need. They try to make sure that we can get, and it's just an amazing experience.
Well, it's wonderful to hear it. I really am glad. And I'd like to say thank you for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. Well,
I'm glad to be able to do this, Josh, and if it can add to the experience of dining in the dark, then I'm happy to do it.
Well, thank you so much, Ed, and thank you all for joining us. And I will hand things off to our next presenter.
All right, thank you, Josh. And so the other service that we would love to highlight this evening is our radio reading service. Elizabeth spoke a little bit about all of the wonderful volunteers that we have that have helped us read over the years with all the different periodicals and newsletters and papers that we have in the Lowell community. And we've been proud to be affiliated with the Massachusetts Audio Information Network, which is an accessible source of community news and information. And we created a brief video, which you should be able to at least hear the audio if you have your blindfolds on. And we will be posting this to our social media page after the event as well. So I'm going to play that now.
So you're listening to the Lowell Association for the Blind radio reading service. Lowell Association for the Blind Radio is a member of the Massachusetts Audio Information Network, your main access to community news and information. Located in Lowell, Massachusetts, we read local news, editorials, feature stories, and more. Lowell Association for the Blind Radio is brought to you by volunteers, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. until 12 noon, and rebroadcast every day at 4 p.m. I'm volunteer reader Leslie, and I'm reading to you today from Lowell, and we're looking at the Lowell Sun local news today.
How long have you been serving Lowell Association for the Blind?
I've been a volunteer for approximately, I believe, 28 years, and I first started when they were located over on Central Street. At that time, we worked with a partner, and my partner was Wild Bill, and I met a lot of very nice people then. A lot of the other volunteers were retired teachers. Dottie Donovan was there then. Elizabeth welcomed me, and I felt comfortable forever. And then as we moved here to Merrimack Street, into this new modern recording studio, an actual radio studio, it's just been a passion that I love.
When you come in to volunteer, what does your day typically look like?
Wednesday morning is my day here. I'm at the 9 o'clock, the first hour of the broadcast, and I come in, visit with the staff, and then I'm in the studio, which is a regular radio recording studio, from 9 to 9:45. And I've always valued this time, and I treasure it, and whatever I've done for work over the years has been planned around my Wednesday morning. Nothing else happens on Wednesday morning but reading for the blind. So everybody understands that.
Lab has hundreds of listeners daily. How do they all listen in?
We provide radio receivers to our clients who wish to listen and tune in whenever we're broadcasting live, or they may listen with their computer, their telephone, or their tablets anytime they wish to choose. And we also have a link on our website in case folks want to tune in. And we are partnered with UMass Lowell's WUML-FM, who provide the radio signal for us to broadcast 5 days a week. And I have been very pleased to know, after a long time, that I have met some of the people that listen from our Christmas party here, and they recognize my name and my voice, and it's very special.
Are there volunteer opportunities still available for radio reading?
I'm sure there are. And the way I'd recommend someone that's interested in volunteer reading for the blind is that they would call Elizabeth Cannon, the executive director here at the Lowell Association for the Blind, and the phone number is 978-454-5704, and speak with her about coordinating time that's convenient for their schedule as well as for the office.
If you wish to learn more about Lab's radio reading service, please contact Elizabeth Cannon at 978-454-5704. And that was Leslie Morin, a longtime volunteer, as well as a board member. And we thank all of our volunteers for the years of service that they have given to Lab. And we will come back to the presentation. Next up, we have a few words from Alex Primrose. She is our youth program coordinator. Alex?
Thank you so much. So I'm Alex. I run the youth program here at Lab. In the beginning of the pandemic, we transitioned all of our youth programs to an online format. It was a little nerve-wracking at first, but the youth program continues to have all sorts of fun despite any challenges we may run into. Some of our recent programs have included some great activities, such as building Lego towers, which were a fun tactile experience for our youth. Some had never encountered Legos before, so it was a great new activity for them. We also did homemade slime, which, did you know that you can blow bubbles with slime into drinking straw? It's all sorts of fun. Tactile art with buttons, beads, and clay was another activity we did, as well as homemade sugar cookies, which you'll hear a little bit more about later. Some other programs we've had in the works include an online pizza party, dice games, creative writing, poetry, and a digital escape room. Our senior teen employment program has had some interesting topics as well, including practice video interviews with volunteers and board members, scholarship application guidance and practice, a self-advocacy session with a college intern who is also blind, service project planning, and learning about registering to vote. Now back to the sugar cookies. One of our most successful virtual programs was our online sugar cookie event. We delivered ingredients to the home of each child the day before the event, along with a recipe in both Braille and in large print. Making cookies was a first-time experience for every single child in attendance. I think we had 6 or 7 of them there. They learned how to measure and mix ingredients, as well as roll out dough, cut out shapes with cookie cutters, and decorate their creation with frosting and sprinkles. Many of the children participating had no sight, so very detailed descriptions of each task had to be given at a pace that they could follow. For example, measure 1 cup of sugar became, find the largest measuring cup in your box. It's about the size of your fist. Now find the bag full of granulated sugar. It is labeled in both Braille and in large print. Open the bag. You will be able to feel the gritty texture of the sugar crystals inside. Make sure not to confuse this with the other bag of powdered sugar. It has the consistency that's much finer and smoother. Are you ready? Now, while you're holding the bag steady with one hand, use your other hand to lower the measuring cup inside. Make a big scooping motion inside the bag so the entire cup fills up with sugar. Once it's full, flatten your non-scooping hand and brush off any sugar that's sticking out of the top of the cup back into the bag. So, by the end of the program, the kids were so proud of themselves and they had gained an important skill set that they might not have been exposed to otherwise. Cooking is a crucial part of independence for individuals with vision impairment, and many parents or guardians of youth who are blind struggle to introduce these skills in an accessible and timely manner. Some of the phrases heard during the program were, "Whoa, this is changing into dough as I stir it. This is the best science project ever. My grandma is letting me use the oven for the first time and I did it all by myself without getting hurt. Do you think my mom will know if I eat all of the frosting? And last, but certainly not least, I never thought I could make cookies all on my own. I'm so happy I learned about this." We hope to continue offering engaging programs for our youth online until it becomes safe to hold in-person events. We thank you so much for being here tonight and supporting our youth. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. And I'm sure those cookies tasted amazing. And so next up, we have another beautiful piece from Dot Donovan. She's gonna play some more music for us. And I just wanna make mention, if you are interested in entering the raffle, there is still time. So you can go to paypal.me/Lowell Blind if you wish to enter. So I'm gonna play the second piece now.
I'm going to Kansas City, Kansas City, here I come. I'm going to Kansas City, Kansas City, here I come. They got some crazy Kansas men there, and I'm gonna get me one. Well, I might take a train, I might take a plane, but if I got to walk, you know I'm going just the same. I'm going to Kansas City, Kansas City, here I come. With on to Kansas City, Kansas City, here I come. Well, I'll be standing on the corner, 12th Street and Blind. Hey, I'll be standing on the corner, 12th Street and Blind. With my Kansas City baby and a bottle of Kansas City wine.
All right, once again, thank you, Dot. Beautiful as always. And next up, we're gonna get a few examples of fine pieces of poetry that the kids have put together. Alex, let's hand it back over to you.
All right, thank you, Sal. So during one of our youth programs, we did a poetry writing event. And here's what the kids came up with. First up is titled "Riding My Bike in the Sun" by Jonathan, age 14. I like going on bike rides in the sun. So far, I'm having fun. I enjoy breathing the air as it runs. Next up is "The Circus," also by Jonathan, age 14. I go to the circus with my family. I'm excited. There are lots of people. The elephants swing their trunks. It's silly. The clowns make people laugh. They throw pies at other clowns. Motorcycles drive on the big loop on the stage. Seeing them makes me cheer. The show ends, we go to the exit. I'm happy because it was fun. And last, we have The Bakery by Dasha, age 9. Now some delicious cake to bake. The cakes we bake are so delicious, we make them with a rake. We call them the Bake Rake Cake. For the water in the cake, we use the lake, which might be a mistake for the rake cake. The drake enjoys the lake rake cake we make. When someone comes to buy a cake, the baker says, enjoy the cake.
All right. Thank you, Alex. Those are great. And next up, we have another reminder. So this is going to be one of our last calls for the raffle item this evening. So once again, it is a Bose SoundLink Micro. If you are interested, these things are wonderful. And obviously all the proceeds will go to lab. And at this time, if you are wearing your blindfold, you are welcome to take that down. So if you pointed your camera to the QR code on the screen, it will take you to that PayPal page if you are interested. And next we have Ms. Carolyn Gregoire to talk about an autumn auction we are part of. Carolyn, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Welcome, folks. Thank you so much for joining us and supporting us tonight. The next event that Lab will participate in is the Lowell Chamber of Commerce Fall Online Auction called the Team 2020. It's a community-wide virtual silent auction to benefit 20 area nonprofits. And this auction will be held from October 22nd through the 29th. We were able to submit 7 items for auction, and 100% of the proceeds of these items will come back to us at Lab. So if you're interested in looking at what the nonprofits are offering for auction, please go to the Greater Lowell the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce, which is greaterlowellcc.org for more details and to look at any of the items that are going to be held for auction. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much, Carolyn. All right, so next up, you may have already spotted it. We're going to enter into a Q&A session. So I think we have a good amount of folks that are still hanging on in this session. And I will ask that my fellow members, Allie, Elizabeth, and Josh and Alex, if you're in front of a camera as well, and if you would like to turn on your cameras, let's do that. There's my beautiful team. All right, so I haven't seen anything come across.
That's a video.
Oh, all right, let's see if I can do it that way. There we go. Our wonderful director. All right. And do we have Josh? Let's see here. All right. So typically in a meeting, you're able to just open your mic and ask questions. But since this is a webinar, you're welcome to use the chat panel if you want to ask any questions. Hey, there's Josh. How you doing, handsome?
Hey, how's it going? Sorry, took me a second.
That's all right. No problem. So Alex and Josh, I mean, you guys have done a tremendous job over the summer handling all the services along with Elizabeth. The credit is to the entire team. What would you say has been the most amazing part of the services that we were able to provide this year?
So I'd say at least during COVID, doing the conference calls has been like a huge thing, especially for the clients. I think it's definitely been a way for them to connect and all of us just to kind of touch base and feel like we've been at lab a little bit, even though we're not able to meet in person. It's at least something close to, which I think they really appreciate. And then we did some send home art kits, which were really cool that Janine did. And they really seem to enjoy those. So I definitely have to say, but doing the conference calls and being able to connect with them has been probably the biggest thing during COVID.
Great. And have those been over Zoom as well, or has that just been a standard call? How have you been coordinating those?
So I usually do our mailer for every couple of weeks. But yeah, I'll usually just send out a mailer and we just use a free conference call program. A lot of them can't really use Zoom, so it's much easier for them to just be able to call in and chat.
Wonderful. And you've also been a radio reader.
Yes, we have, actually, very frequently.
Very
So
cool.
It's an awesome time. I enjoy reading on the radio and just getting to read the news for people. It's a lot of fun.
Definitely. No, we love hearing you on the radio as well. And Alex, we definitely commend you for coordinating all those wonderful kids programs. You could just tell from the photos that every kid that attends these events is so happy to be there. Just the feelings that come up just listening to that baking exercise is so heartwarming. All of us at the board definitely recognize that, and I think that all of our wonderful attendees this evening will also appreciate all the hard work that you do. So thank you as well.
Oh, thank you.
All right, and I haven't seen anything else. It looks like Martha Mayo has already registered for the autumn auction. Once again, thank you, Martha. I think I received another message earlier about getting some more of those photos up on Facebook. So at the end, feel free to take a snapshot and use that hashtag LabDID. And we will be posting a recording of this. So if you want to watch it with some of the graphics, we did have a lot of graphics. If you had your blindfolds on, you probably didn't get to catch those, but you'll see some smiles. Sorry, what was that, Josh?
I have my blindfold on too during the thing, so I didn't get to see, so that'll be good.
There you go. All right. Excellent. And so, Allie, did we have any enough raffle participants this time?
Let me go check really quick.
Someone was asking how to register for the online auction. Oh, that's through the chamber, the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce.
That is correct. So if you go to greaterlowellcc.org, there is an events banner, and within it, you'll see that team auction. And on that page, you can just register for it.
And there are 20 or so nonprofits that are involved in that through the chamber.
All right. And yes, looks like Martha's saying you could always add the boss to the auction. Wonderful. All right, so we'll give it a few more.
I think it means the bows.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yes. I'm like,
Not
Bruce Springsteen is where I went to. All right. And so yeah, if we don't get a chance to have too many participants this year, Martha's saying, "Oops, the bows or the boss." So we will definitely wait to see if we have some more participants for the raffle this evening. But if in case we don't, it's something that we might add later in the week. All right. All right. And lastly, feel free to provide any feedback for this event. This was definitely our first attempt this year, and we're looking forward to more engagement going forward. And certainly we'll be planning for next round with or without a venue. And lastly, just want to greet all of our sponsors yet again. Without them, this is definitely a challenge. So we're very grateful to all of their sponsorships. and all of our corporate sponsors. Certainly they're integral to our organization. And as we wrap up, just want to say thank you to everyone that was able to attend, especially to Deb Finch's class, along with all of the sponsors and our attendees that come every year, no matter where we are. And with that, we'll call it our night. Thank you, everyone. Good evening.
It's a night.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.